through every single day. Of course you want to be a champion. Of course you want to be working towards winning titles.
Be happy, but never satisfied.
Better than ever.
Welcome back, Ultimate fans, to our third feature game on the Discraft and B Ultimate Showcase field here at the Canadian Ultimate Championships 2023 junior phase of the tournament. We are here in Newton, British Columbia. We're playing on the traditional lands of the Semiahmoo, Katzie, Kwantlen, Kwikwetlam, Kaikite, and Tsawwassen First Nations, and our traditional lands of those First Nations. And we've got a matchup here with a top seed coming out of British Columbia, Dyno, and another top seed coming out of Quebec, Titane. But my name's Clayton Hallett, and my co-host here is going to kind of give you a little bit of a story about why this game is a little bit interesting. So Kevin Underhill, if you would.
Absolutely, Clay. Happy to be back in the booth with you this year out here in Surrey, BC. Great field site here. Great complex overall. I know the organizers are excited to host the juniors and then the seniors later on in the week. But right now, all eyes on this junior teams. We have the Prime Ultimate Club's Dyno. It's the top seed out of BC playing Titane, top seed out of Quebec. This is a Montreal squad. And right now, the big story is Dyno 2-0, Titane 0-2. So this is right now a team, Titane, who hasn't had their best stuff yet this tournament, and Dyno, who is on home soil and playing great, winning both games so far.
You love to see it as an Ultimate fan when the seeding doesn't go as planned. I mean, Titane doesn't.
Yes.
Don't get me wrong. But how great is it when you have a tournament that has a story, has things shifting, things not going as expected, adds a lot of intrigue to the tournament.
Well, and speaking of that, the other pool, Pool A, now being dubbed the Pool of Death. We had earlier Vortex beating Manitoba. We had Ignite beating Vortex. And we had Origin winning as well. It was an absolute bloodbath in that other pool. We'll try to get you the final results during this stream. But this game is just about set to start with Dyno in blue pulling to Titane in white.
Haven't had a chance to watch either of these teams play, unfortunately, as they were in a bye last round, so we didn't get to do any scouting on them, but we're off. Fox Pole is going to sail down, land inside the end zone, back corner. Dyno coming right down to stop those first throws, and Titane is already stuck in the back of their end zone. But seem to be working it without much of a problem, except they seem a little stuck right now. Ul looking for an option. His throw gets picked up by the wind, and a big layout grab by number 19, Hunter Cochran, which huge grab, almost to Callahan, but just a little bit short of the end zone. Now Dyno working a vertical stack, really common. Hunter Cochran doing all the work there, the double happiness to get a break off the bat. Hey, Kevin, fun fact about Hunter Cochran. You know where he's committed next year?
Do not.
The University of Victoria.
Wow, UVic zone. Excited to hear about that. Couple of UVic boys in the booth here. Dyno with an absolutely electric start, pinning Titane in that upwind end zone and just cashing in there. Hunter Cochran doing it on both sides of the disc.
So we'll see how Titane responds to this. That's definitely a rough start to turn it over on your end zone line, first point of the game. The conditions, I mean, Kev, we've been seeing this all day. Like, I got here 8:30 today, no wind. Now we've got a breeze, top left of your screen, down to the bottom right. Sorry, I forgot my compass today, but it is this kind of diagonal wind we got going. The harder side to score on has typically been where Dyno just scored, the left side of your screen. So that's a huge break for them in more ways than one.
Absolutely. I mean, a gigantic pull to start things off all the way to the back of the end zone, and then a great sort of pressure defense to generate that turn. This Dyno team already 2-0 on the day, obviously here come to play. I think it's worth noting that playing at home is just that much easier, right? This Titane team traveled likely yesterday, if not Saturday and Sunday, right? And just getting your travel wigs under you, it's not easy. The first day of tournaments are when the teams that had to travel, it's just that much harder.
Yeah, very different than going home to your own bed every night. So Fox Pole landing on the far side, inbounds. Titane now able to get an offense going. Not electing to go for the small unders unless they're open. That one was to J-Home. He's able to get it up the far side. Behrauer's throw is going to sail over everybody, and No was there to get it, but an unfortunate drop, being all alone.
Yeah, good offense there by Titane, just sort of pounding the open side, and then an actually really good throw, but just couldn't quite close his hands on it.
So Falk picks up. He has no mark. And Dyno seems to be running a side stack vertical, leaving a lot of open space in the middle of the field, generating lots of one-on-one opportunities. Oh, and a great athletic grab by Cochran again, fighting through that contact. And then Dyno punches it in.
And Clay, you can see Kobe Ma is that sort of center pivot on the D-line for this Dyno team. He was the one who ripped that huck. A bit of a prayer, honestly, but when you have a big athletic receiver like Cochran down there that sealed him out, able to make that grab, again, sometimes you got to just put it up to your big players and let them make a play.
Absolutely. If Cochran's going to do that, I mean, that's going to instill a lot of faith in his team that we can put it up to him and he'll bring it down. I should apologize. That was Ma's been pulling, and that was Falk with the goal. I blame my number sheet, not myself.
Of course.
So Titane hasn't called a timeout. Got together as a group in the middle of the field. I actually see it's kind of a neat thing I've seen out of Quebec teams in my time, Kev, is that after every point, everybody comes together in the middle. Everybody can hear the line call. Everybody can get a quick tactical tidbit from the coach. And, sometimes that kind of eliminates that need for like, oh, do we need to take a timeout and reset? No, the coach just brings everybody in, has a quick word, and like, we're still in this. Let's keep it up.
Well, and that's the thing. We talked about this in the last game. as a team who goes down early, when do you take that timeout? Is it really worth taking it 2-0? You know, are you able to, because at that point they had good O, worked it up, and to be perfectly honest, should have scored, but they had an untimely drop in the end zone. And this could easily be 1-1 right now. I don't think it's any cause for concern, but this Titane team needs to see one go down.
Tang's pull hits the ground early, stopped by Titane. Titane's offense is quite interesting. A great grab by 15. Navarren is able to find Benoit. His pass is reeled in. There's a dispute if that's up or down.
Tough to tell from here, Clay. Receiver there, I mean, a great effort to get his hands under there. It's whether or not it caught some turf on the way down. Very close. I think it's a fair call by the Dyno player, but I think it's also fair that this hasn't been decided yet.
Yeah, I think observer Linda was had a sight line on that, so she's gonna consult with observer Glenn Ford. We'll get an observer ruling on this. The observer ruling that it is up. So Rabasa with that athletic catch to keep it alive. Hearing some shock emanating from the crowd, but over here, yeah, that was tight.
Pick called there.
So play will stop. That catch still counts, though, because it wasn't part of the play. Benoit able to keep himself sturdy against Wilkie trying to go over the top.
Linda Kudo in good position to make the call. It looks like when she made that up-down call, she was just basically squared up directly with the play. So she's in a great spot to make that call.
Yeah. All right. Coming in on one. Benoit finds an under. Lancio's pass fades as he puts it up high in the air, and Wilkie's able to bring that down. Brian finds an open side backhand. And De Beer will put it up. A great placement pass to Brousset. He's looking for options, looking reset. And Brian's able to save him. Not the first look, but was there. Brian with a quick backhand, no one really expected. And then the ensuing continued throw just getting picked up in the wind over the head. Kevin, perhaps a little lack of patience on that one?
Well, just a little bit frantic there. They actually had two really good looks and a little bit of patience there. Could have gone a long way. And that was De Beer, who had an absolute ropey huck down the line to get things going for Dyno.
Tang in the area to field that huck. That seemed to miss the mark on its target. Wong wants to reset it down the middle. And that pass is too high. Titane immediately able to capitalize. And Benoit just unable to make that catch as Brousset came through. Benoit calling a foul just as he tried to make that catch from Beck Havernick.
And Cohen Brousset there, just a good read on D to close the gap and go up over top. Definitely possible for some contact over the backside, but I thought a strong play by the Vancouver defender there, closing the gap, and the disc just hung just a little bit too much. It felt like that was a sure thing into the hands of Jean-Christophe Benoit.
So, observer Glenn asking what we're going to do with this. Foul, observer ruling there was a foul. If I'm reading observer language correctly.
Never can be sure.
Yeah, so indeed, observer ruling was a foul, so Benoit's going to get the disc. He was in the process, or I guess it won't matter. He'll get the catch regardless. Rabasa trying to isolate with Benoit. Makes a great double back cut. And the celebration from Titane.
You see Arthur Rabasa first with the big layout undercatch and then finally closes the deal for Titane. A great cut, tons of space down there, good patience by the Titane players not to crowd, and gave Arthur Rabasa 2 full stall counts to make a big across the field and then get that juke back. Tons of space, great throw there. Benoit, nice finish.
Yeah, you like to see teammates, especially at this level, not all trying to be the hero at once and just letting one player get it done. As we have seen, I mean, it can happen in any division, but sometimes you expect that lack of discipline to come more from the junior division, but here, not so, as everyone was just like, no, he's isolated, let him do his thing. And while it only took 2 stall counts, I mean, he pretty much had the whole end zone to himself there.
Yeah, and this game now, Dyno leading Titane 2-1. We get our first look at this offensive unit for Dyno, and really, you know, this game you've already seen multiple turns and a little bit of impatience on both sides, and it really feels like it could go either way. And 2-1 right now for Dyno feels like a fair result. Dyno's looked very strong, but Titane clap back, a nice grab there, nice cut there, and good sequence to get the goal.
Erazo's pull. Fielded inbounds. Dyno getting it moving immediately into their side vertical stack. And a huck that is just pushed down by the wind at the last second out of the hands of Ewan.
Yeah, and Griffin McCulloch there with the huck look, thought it was a good look, and they ran a sort of a set play out of a side vertical, but not unable to connect.
Shigal finds Erazo. Titane now finding a little bit more rhythm in their offense. A little bit quicker movement. Not seeming so timid with their cuts against Dyno as they were earlier. And that huck, tough down the sideline with, I would say, an unpredictable wind. Kev, what do you think of that shot?
Yeah, they just didn't have a actual target striking to that space. So I think it was more of a wishful one where the thrower looked up, saw a good looking space and maybe receiver threatening in that area, but never actually had a target attacking that truly.
McCullough elects to go deep. Oh, and number 11, Ewan had the read, but just that old 2 hands, sir.
Just a little bit too casual there. And honestly, these conditions are, you just can't be too sure.
McCullough trying to get that back for his team with a big athletic bid. Jang.
Both teams playing a little bit frantic here, Clay, just like not identifying the perfect option and trying for a bit more of the risky one. And in the case of Rex Ewan there, it was just a little too casual when he had a good look at making that completion.
Sorry, that was Chen with the disc who swung it around. That bounces off the chest of Squants. And so Gauthier getting his team to chill out a little bit, takes his time coming up to the disc. He finds Erazo, who wants that open side, gets it. And some athleticism there from Jang.
No shortages of great play on defense for these two teams right now.
Chen finds O'Donnell. Jang goes for the reset, not trying to force it up while the offense seems a little out of sorts. Several people cutting at once, but Chris throws. O'Donnell fakes the hammer. And Jang's throw just a little too far.
Might have some of those showcase nerves here, Clay. Honestly, both teams getting down near the goal, but just not making the right decisions or the right execution.
Yeah.
Conditions are a little squirrely on this field, but the wind is not so howling that it's causing that much of a problem. So it's just coming down to making those mental decisions right now in the heat.
There's O. His throw gets popped up and is eaten up by Dyno. Quickly go the other way. O'Donnell striking deep. McCullough's going to put it up for him, and all alone, O'Donnell reels that in. Dyno goes back up to the score, 3-1 for Dyno.
And Clay, we talked about the conditions a little bit earlier. It is smoking hot out here, mid 30s out here, and on the turf feels even a little bit hotter. The wind, yes, cutting it a bit, but the observers have ruled that they're going to be taking heat breaks in this game. And they're going to be taking them when a team reaches 3, when a team reaches 6, when a team reaches 9 and 12. And so this is our first heat break of the game with Dyno's Kai O'Donnell, making the grab there, connecting with Griffin McCullough.
That's right. So these water breaks are about 70 seconds, I believe. Someone in the chat correct me if I got that wrong, but 70 seconds. So it's as if there's just a timeout between the points here for each team. You can see them retreating to their shade.
Right now, Clay, I think the game script is Dyno's just had a little more success cutting and getting open in the lanes. You've seen both teams work it laterally pretty well, but at the end of the day, you have to move the disc upfield at some juncture. And right now, it's been a little more, difficult, challenging shots by Titane, looking upfield for longer hucks, low percentage shots. And Dyno, when they're looking their best, they're hitting dump, swing, upfield.
Yeah.
Dump, swing, upfield, and they're hitting that routine. And you saw actually Kai O'Donnell, who wound up finishing that play, he settled into that role where he was able to just get the swings, multiple unders. And so with that, they had a little bit more success.
I think you hit the nail on the head there with the term low percentage. You know, we've seen Titane take a lot of shots where it's no targeted strike and just putting it up, hoping someone will get there. We've seen a lot of throws sort of right into that wind. Right, so the disc really hasn't had an angle of attack, if you will. It's just got that flat side facing the wind and just keeps getting pushed over. So Titane willing to take those shots right now, while Dyno has kind of reeled those in when they're moving in the direction they're about to go.
Yep, we have now Dyno pulling in blue. If you're just joining us against Titane in white, Dyno leads 3-1 and looking for a break here to make this a 3-goal advantage. On the other side, Titane trying to hold here and keep this game tight.
Maz pull, a flick pull, and it's a great one. Impressive. Titane moving the disc quick. We've seen as Dyno has set up their D. That's where it's gotten more difficult for Titane. Maillot finds a reset to Vernet. Quick movement now from Titane. Seeing smart, easier shots like we're talking about to hold that possession. Vermette swings around. Kind of crisscrossing cuts. But lots of lateral movement right now. Good avoidance of that collision there. Vermette again in the middle. Jérôme. Oh, and a nice bid, but just out of the reach.
And Clay, that
Maillot.
Titane offense over the course of the whole point was just very clinical, making good choices, resetting the disc when they had to. And it just came down to right by the goal, pushing it a little bit too much, and trying a more difficult shot than just hitting a free bail.
I think we've seen that several times now from Titane. Like, they have the ability to get it down. A big huck here. And that had a pretty hard edge on it. A little too difficult for Wong to get his arm underneath that, but an athletic bid nonetheless.
What we're seeing from Dyno is this run and gun defense offense. The D-line who gets the blocks, they're just looking to huck it from a dead disc to start. They haven't had too much success with it yet. See if they can pick up that in the second chunk of this game.
Vermette finds a reset to the middle. cuts a little late from Titane right now. Dyno taking advantage of that. Nevertheless, getting open on the unders. Durand finds Mayo. Pick called. I believe not part of the play, so it'll stay with Mayo. And he'll send that to Jérôme. It's off his hands, but 24. We're going to get you his name because we don't have his number on our sheets here, but great presence there to clean it up. He'll get the credit he deserves. Really great heads-up play.
And Titane, they wind up benefiting from what I was describing earlier as solid offense. And then that one obviously getting pretty fortunate, but nonetheless, a team you've got to be there to collect the garbage. And he was there, made the play, and cashed in. And honestly, the offensive set there from Titane looked pretty good. There was a lot of open cuts, both outs and unders, and they're really working this Dyno D-line, and they're having a tough time keeping up. So right now, Dyno leads 3-2, and we'll see what this Dyno O-line can do in response.
Kev, you know the term the commentator's curse?
I certainly do.
Yeah, like when we say something's going great, and then they immediately gaff whatever we're talking about. I think you just gave Titane the commentator's blessing there.
Yeah, I did.
Like we need to see some lateral movement, and look at that. After some big lateral movement from Titane, I mean, just like didn't seem to struggle against that defense at all.
Yeah, they earned it. They've been playing good offense so far this game. Right now, they just trail by one break, and it's Dyno with the 3-2 lead. Titane set to pull here, going right to left on your screen. Big hanger upwind. That's nice against the wind. Going to cut down. It's going to be collected by Dyno and center to Griffin McCulloch. Number 5, McCulloch looks upfield. They run the same plays they did last time. Let's see if they can cash this one in. Great hands there by Kai O'Donnell. And he looks directly into the end zone. And it's easy for Rex Ewan. 3-pass score for this Dyno offense. Great response. Dyno ran the same set play as they did on the opening point there, Clay. Just identifying out of a side stack, finding a huck option. Griffin McCulloch rips it deep. Then 2 passes later, Rex Ewan cashes in for the goal. Nice and clean and tidy hold for this Dyno offense.
So I'll do it now so he gets the credit from before. That was previous point. Romain Obela that grabbed that goal. He's number 24. Not 25.
There's a jersey error every single game. That's my experience. You get given one thing and it turns out it's the other, and we just got to battle through it, Clay.
You make do.
In the meantime, this Dyno offense looking pretty tidy on that last point. One thing I am noticing, Clay, is this Dyno O is relying on Griffin McCulloch's long ball. He hucked 2 in the first point, and he just hucked 1 there. And I feel like it's one of those situations is when it's on and working, it can be really, really deadly. But if it starts to falter a little, it gives the other team an opportunity to this. Frankly, the hucks just are lower percentage throws at all times. So when he's on, I imagine it's an absolutely electric play. And when it's not always working, could be trouble.
So number 11, Badeau, is going to bring this to the middle. Finds Erazo and takes off himself. Badeau, good to go to that disc as the wind was slowing it down. Erazo in turn goes up the line for him. They're just playing together. Oh, get someone else involved. Hello, Benoit, who's had a good game so far. Kind of a pivot handler for their team. Erazo looking for options. Badeau. And Benoit will put that in back to Erazo. That seemed like a 3-man point, Kev.
Oh, and just absolutely clinical. One thing I really liked out of that Titane offense is every time they got something up there to the open side, the first look was getting it back to the break side. Instead of just stuffing it down this open side, which is close to the camera, 2-3 cutters in a row, receive the disc, quick pivot to the backhand, we're able to move it, go out to that backhand side. When you hold the disc on this high side, closer to where the crowd is, it's just that much easier. So great instinctual offense by this Titane group there.
Yeah, moving the disc uphill so you can move it downhill, as they say, against the wind is a massive, massive adjustment you need to make when the conditions aren't so good. I mean, it still plays when we're talking about open side versus break side ultimate. You can roll down the open side if you do the hard work to get it to the break side. And once again, that point too, I mean, after every throw, those Titane players were just ready to follow it, didn't really care about where their defender had posted up. They're just like, I'm just going to go get this now. And just defenders seem to be trailing them the whole time.
Good, clean offensive point there by Titane, bringing the score to 4-3. Dyno leads in this Pool B matchup. Right now, we talked about it earlier. Dyno commanding 2-0 on the day, whereas Titane is 0-2, and they're looking to rectify that in this game.
Go chase Pulf. Caught by Jang. Now Ewan is able to find O'Donnell. A lot of room in the middle of the field thanks to that side stack. And once they get it into the side stack, it seems that Dyno is just happy to small passes up the gun. But that pass that was caught by Jang was in fact caught out of bounds.
And Clay, that far sideline has been deceptive all day on this showcase field. And I'm not sure if it's the sort of faded blue line they have chalked out here, or if it's just because it's kind of close up to the sidelines, but there's been multiple outs.
Patience shown by Titane. Gauthier looking for all the options, any option. He'll look for a dump. Back, Havernick goes back to Gauthier. And Robin slowing down to catch that allows Chen to get that run through D. McCullough once again putting it up, as you said, Kev. And O'Donnell trying to make the play. That disc bouncing up into his hands. I'll just give you the hot take right now because I feel like I saw it.
Yeah, we had a fairly decent perspective from here. It looked like it ricocheted off the ground before he got his hands on it. That being said, he did sort of shield the disc during his dive, so it is tough to tell from our vantage what totally happened there as Griffin McCullough threw it to O'Donnell, just had so much edge and was getting pushed away by the wind there.
So Linda Kudo, Glenn Ford there to make a ruling if needed. Observer ruling, it was down. So I feel like Kudo had a good angle on that to see it. So Beck Havernick will pick up. Oh, Dyno playing some really pressure defense, stifling those first few looks. That disc will go up high to Gauthier. Ooh, just goes over everybody. You see the taps on the head from the sideline on his head. What a great grab.
Uh-oh.
Lancio's pass to Gauthier again. He keeps it in. Beck Havernick looking for options. His pass kind of high, but that's brought down by No. Drouin. Oh, just a little too far off the fingertips. Even the Dyno players giving credit for that bid. That was No stretching out, but just a little too far. And it looks like we have an injury signal. That was some pretty heavy contact, yeah.
And yeah, it looks like Gauthier is coming off from the deep in the backfield after making two sensational grabs in that point. This may be a double injury sub here situation for Titane as they subbed off Gauthier, and it looks like the player with the big bid there is also going to go off.
Yeah, hot turf, not necessarily forgiving when you're putting your body on the line like that. And to do it twice, that definitely puts a big demand, even on junior players. This Hawk unchallenged to Wong. Wong looking for options, getting high in the count, looking for a reset, finds McCullough. McCullough will go break side, immediately puts his head down knowing that's not what he wanted, but O'Donnell's like, don't worry, bro, I got this. But a foul called. I'm thinking a push off or the old hand on the shoulder.
Yeah, I think Kai O'Donnell was the last one of the party there going up and reeling that down. I'm not totally sure where the contact was. I think it was before when the disc was in the air. McCullough sort of putting his receivers in a bit of a tough spot there by hanging it up so high and allowing the defense to gather up underneath it.
So I believe that's Erazo, one of the two Erazos, as there is both Rafael and Pablo on Titane. It's made it real simple for us as they have the same haircut. And their numbers are 1 and 7. All right, so that disc will go back to McCullough. So contested foul. Oh, and just off the hands, that little dish, Jiang couldn't reel it in. And that pass kicks up. Erazo looking for options. He finds, that's Lancio, not his brother, but it's Lancio. He gets it up. And Titane begins to move it quick. Finds Lancio. There's some traffic, which causes him to bobble the disc. I hear the coaches from Dyno right now yelling shallow, 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 perhaps encouraging their players to have a bigger strike opportunity. Dyno once again happy to dump it if they don't get the first looks. Jiang finds Ewan in the middle. That bounces off his hands. And Wong unable to get there. And Titane calls a timeout.
Clay, right now I'm seeing, obviously, there's a bit of a lack of focus on both sides. Right, you're seeing particularly from the Dyno players throws that should be completed that are hitting each other in the hands. Just a little bit of a casualness by the Dyno players. Just a little bit of a casualness. Whereas on the Titane side, it's about the throwers are forcing it into difficult positions. So we're also seeing two styles of offense that I wanted to point out. Right now, we're seeing the Titane offense is especially strong when they're moving the disc laterally and generating those open looks. Whereas the Dyno offense is especially strong when they're carving up big outs and unders, right? They're running a big vertical lane attack, whereas the Titane offense is running a bit more of like get the disc laterally movement and open something up. So it's an interesting blend, these two teams, and it's a good battle right now because they're, I think, seeing something that they're not used to seeing in practice.
I'm also curious to see which team will maybe decide to adapt or change it up first. I wouldn't say that either team has come up with a defense that's totally shutting down the offenses, right? It's more, we're just seeing more errors in those difficult positions and the lack of focus, like you're saying. I wouldn't say either team is showing up with a defense that's just unbreakable right now and requires an adaptation.
Definitely not. And with the conditions right now, like you talked about, first thing in the morning, not as windy. It's very common for here out in Surrey. It picks up wind a little bit in the afternoon as the day goes on. So we'll see who's first to adapt.
Beck Habernick finds the third cut out of a vertical. That will get to Lancio. He's looking for options. Finds a quick dish back to Beck Habernick, but just up the open side and still kind of forced on that sideline. McCullough's unable to make that play, but he was close. That huck to Erazo just started to fade out of bounds, and Dyno defense there immediately to make sure nothing would come of that. McCullough's going to pick up. Do you feel a huck coming, Kev?
It's the conditions and the personnel, so we'll just see.
Oh, and that pass bounces off his receiver right into the hands of Beck Habernick. Gauthier looking for options, looking dump. And that throw just a little too low for Lancio.
Again, Clay, getting away from what's worked for them. Right now, it feels like the lateral movement, throwing a good dump, even for a loss of yards, and then getting it out to the other side has been best for Titane. Instead of, when things are going bad, they're trying to jam it right up that open side into difficult, tight spaces.
So I believe I see a few players taking a knee. I think what happened there is on one of the bids by Titane is a player took injury immediately, and Dyno elects to make their own sub, which is legal after an injury. You can match the number of substitutions. So McCullough brings that up. Cochran takes off immediately. And just as he was reining that in after the good read, some good backup defense there from Titane that forced that out of his hands. Gauthier. And Razo had Bekhavernik up the option. There it is, that swing we've been looking for. Kind of getting stuck on the open side. Bekhavernik was thinking he'd just do a give-go action, but didn't quite set his feet for his pass to Obela. And McCulloch picks it up. O'Donnell with the juke, not quite there, so McCulloch elects to go under. Finds Wong. Jang. Resets back to McCulloch. O'Donnell's creeping deep. Probably a little late for McCulloch, so he resets to Jang with a good up-the-line cut. O'Donnell now at the doorstep. And his pass, perhaps just that lack of extra focus or zip, Kev, can't quite push the disc all the way into the end zone.
It's extra important when you get by the end zone here, Clay, to make everything count, especially in this downwind sideline. Throws are that much more difficult the closer you get to this sideline.
Obela. He'll dish that to Gauthier. Gauthier finds Bekhavernik up the line, power position. That is momentum. Elects to throw a scoober back to Obela. And Razo will put that up for a few players going deep. I don't know quite who the target was. It's high, and Jang is there to clean it up. Kevin, I think we mentioned earlier, Titane has taken some shots to, that's like a, let's say, not designated target, if you will, just kind of, there's a few people deep, I'll take it. And I think we just saw that again.
Yeah, what we're seeing here, Clay, is as both teams approach the end zone, they get a little too excited to try to find the goal in one pass, right? And I know on teams that I've been, we try to preach that extra value of the disc, especially as you get down near the end zone. Run the give and go, get the disc moving in the backfield, generate a little bit. You know, in that case there, they got the nice scooper over the top and then they moved it up to the middle. You know, they were inside the brick mark and they had a good chance of getting a goal, and it was thrown to a heavily contested area. 2 defenders, 3 offenders going for the disc, right? It's always going to favor the defense when it gets really busy. So in that case, you know, what I would love to see from the Titane there, from the Titane offense, is just patience. 2, 3, 4 stalls, flip a bail, and get set up in your end zone set. You're going to have such a higher percentage chance when you have your running end zone, as opposed to try to take risky throws into difficult scenarios.
So McCulloch called the timeout as he ran to pick that up. Timeouts are short, 70 seconds. So I'm pretty surprised that all the players went to the sideline. I'm not going to lie. It's really not a lot of time, but perhaps that's a plan. Run to the sideline, get some shade, get some info from coach. They do end up getting in position just down to the wire before Dyno's required to freeze, so I guess it worked out.
Yeah, it could just be simply in today's game, you just got to get shade. You
Yeah.
know, it's cooking out here.
So McCulloch with a vertical stack in the middle facing him, as we've seen Dyno favor the side stack. It's Ewan from the back. We'll put up a big flick bomb that may sail back in, but was actually never in as it went right over our heads. So observer Kudo has marked just to our left here. We're at about the center of the field, just to our left where the disc went out. So this puts Titane in a fairly favorable position, especially working to score on the harder side of the field right now.
Yeah, and, you know, this is an opportunity for them to do what we've been talking about, which is get that disc centered, run their set end zone here, see what they can do about it.
Gauthier looks off Bekhavernik and then goes back to him. He finds Papa Georgiou to Erazo. And a good grab, quick by Beck having that. Back to Echazo, little give-go action between the two of them. And then
there
Beck
it is.
Habenek is able to punch that into Obela. Kevin, once again, your blessing. I think you called it.
Yeah, Titane can send me a check in the mail later as they've ran nice patient O there. They just went give go. They ran it through the middle. They identified their targets and they made simple throws, right? None of those passes were more than 6-8 yards max. They were all to receivers that were ready in good positions, 2 hand grabs, good choices. And even the last throw was a little bit dicey, but at the end of the day, to a target that was open and made the grab with 2 hands. This is that sort of patient offense that we saw a little bit earlier from Titane. When it's looking its best, it looks unstoppable because they're hitting open targets for good options, right? When it looks sketchy, let's call it, is they're just ripping into trouble areas.
Hopefully there'll be some input from their coaches. I mean, it probably is. Sometimes it comes down to discipline. Sometimes it's just making sure that everybody has a chance to get that old bad habits out of their system and get on the field, maybe make a mistake and then get in, settle into how they're supposed to play. The score, 4-4. So we're all tied up. I mean, we saw Dyno come out with huge energy, getting a really, really quick break right off the hop on some unfortunate, an unfortunate turnover for Titane. And now, I mean, honestly, I wouldn't have said the game started like that watching it now.
Yeah, and I think we're starting to see why Titane, originally had that number 2 seed is when things are going well, they look like a very, very good squad, right? It just seems like they've had a little bit of an inconsistency so far today in keeping it all together. And obviously, some of that inconsistency was showing in the other games, right? This is a squad that's 0-2 that feels like they probably shouldn't be, right? But at the end of the day, when you come to nationals and you're in these top 8 pool, in the top 2 pools, when that's the top 8 teams in the tournament, you have to be able to earn every single game. And they've already lost to Nitro and to Toro. Excuse me. They've already lost 2 games today. Dyno has beat Nitro and Toro on the other side. And so, yeah, this is one of those matchups where T10 feels, we really have to actually establish it and get a win here. Looks like they're taking an extended heat break here. Observers chatting with the team's captains. I think it might just be talking a little bit about those heat breaks and making sure that everyone's safe here. It feels an extra probably 5-6 degrees on this turf, Clay.
Yeah, it is scorching. And we've seen for some athletes today previously that if they're not getting enough shade, it can really take a toll on their play and can lead to some risky stuff. And I mean, I'm definitely feeling it out here. We're seeing, and this is interesting, I'll just point out, we're seeing, I wouldn't say a big rotation in the personnel for each team, but definitely seeing some players we haven't yet on the field, giving those other players who've been out there on the seat a break.
No doubt.
So that pull fielded by Enyang Lim goes to McCullough. UN underneath to get it. And number 16, Wong, cutting like a madman out there. Unfortunately, doesn't get the pass. But instead, Chen is found. I believe a pick was called, so that'll go back to McCullough. So that's sorted out. Disc comes in. McCullough doesn't have his first look. Wong looking for McCullough, but that's picked up by Chen. Chen goes back to McCullough. Seeing some small ball offense here. Ma with the disc. Ewan will go back to Ma. Ma with a great give-go move. Throw and go. Ma finds Wong. And then just some quick movement. That pass from Chen might have had a travel call against it.
There was a call. Maybe it felt like maybe a pick the throw before. So there's one pass continue, but it's going to stay in the hands of Ryan Chen, I believe, right on the doorstep.
Chen has Wong. Wong goes back to Chen. That pass just through Chen's hands, but he gobbles that up. Ewan. Lots of patience here being shown from Dyno. Squants. Go to Chen. And Ma finds Chen. Dyno working hard for that long point. The score 5-4 Dyno.
Another example, Clay, of good clinical end zone offense, right? You saw Rex Ewan out there. You saw Squants out there. You saw Ryan Chen kind of commanding it and going give-go. When you isolate the top 3 or 4 and get them working laterally, and in the back, you saw Griffin McCullough kind of running these side-to-side pistons, providing an option, but not actually getting in the way. Overall, I think the Dyno coaches are going to be pretty happy about how they ran that end zone offense. And it's another example is they just didn't throw any risky throws that point. And that makes a huge difference when you're trying to play clean offense.
Yeah, I won't say you want to take 100 safe throws, but if you have to take 20 safe throws rather than risking it to get the goal, always worth it.
Yeah, and they ran a great sequence off the start there. They worked the disc up nice and clean and got themselves up there, right? You were talking about Miles Wong cutting in the lanes, and it's just he's working hard in the lanes to get open, and then they're running give-goes in the backfield. It's always bound to work out if you cut hard and you make good choices, right? It may not even take 20. It may take 6 or 7 to get up to the goal, and it may take 5 or 6 around the goal. And that's what we saw Dyno do so well at that point.
Yeah. Kind of, I wouldn't say refreshing, but I mean, we haven't seen that a lot from him either. We've seen just some big, highlight reel bombs coming from their throwers. And now to see that clinical offense shows Dyno's got everything in their tool belt. That pull is going to go out of bounds, I think, with the blue line that I can't see. But it is out of bounds.
It wouldn't be a stretch to call this a little bit messy so far, but the last couple points, both teams really tidied it up.
Half will be taken at 6. Obela looking for options. He'll find an under reset to number 14, Gigale, but looks like number 1, Ma able to get that D. Christoria with the disc, but it sounds like there was a pick that wasn't part of the play, so everybody will just catch up. Cochran in the deep space by himself. Kind of dangerous, as Dyno's shown, as he's brought some big ones down. Ma. Pick called. Cochran was pretty open. I think Danny said it on some of our earlier broadcasts. If you're that open, there might have been a pick call, which is the case. So Jehome will catch up. And Cochran will go back to where he was at the time of the pick. Mott elects to dump to Brian. Brian puts that up to Christori in the middle with a quick flip to Wu. Mott, Christoria, just working in the handlers, just like last point. Different personnel, but same plan. Wu finds Cochran. That is in goal. Dyno will take half on that break. The score is 6-4. Kevin, I mean, second point in a row where we just saw really crisp, focused, decision-oriented end zone.
And you see Kobe Ma kind of commanding the backfield there with Christoria. And they're doing a good job. They're running out the break side. They never got caught coming too far down on the downwind side. They always had it centered or up there on the break side. And you see Hunter Cochran gets available, third goal of the game for the big man. And it's just that D-line is just finding their rhythm. And when they get the turns, they didn't give anything back. And that's so frustrating from an offensive perspective from Titane there. They have one turn and they just can't earn it back, and they get it and they get scored on. So kudos to that Dyno D-line earning the break there.
Well, score of 6-4, and unlike our earlier open game, we're actually taking half of a decent hour. So we are just about time-wise, maybe I would say 55, 60% way through the game. So there is some time for Titane to come back here. We're going to take a break for halftime, and we'll be back with you shortly. Welcome back to the second half here in our third feature match of the day on the Discraft and B Ultimate Field. This match is from our Junior Open division, featuring Titane from Quebec in white and Dyno from British Columbia in blue. Kevin, I quickly mentioned our sponsors, B Ultimate, the official apparel sponsor of this tournament, and Discraft supplying our favorite inanimate object, which we need to conduct our lives. Thank you to our sponsors. Titane's going to start pulling from the right side of your screen, and that pull is going to go way up in the sky and come right at me. Ow.
Clay just can't stay out of the game.
I didn't move. Kind of hurt my hand a little bit.
Well, Clay picks up and centers to Griffin McCullough here, who will take it to the middle line.
McCullough, with his big hucks all day, finds an under to Ewan. Ewan showing some patience. Goes back to McCullough. Chen didn't really have any options. Has to look at McCullough. Runs out of time. Pitches that out to Ewan, who is there to get that right on the goal line. And he'll find an outstretching receiver. That was Schwantz, just extending and keeping his toes in, as Dyno will start with a hold.
And a clean one at that, Clay. They ran a beautiful set play to get the first 35 yards of the field in 2 passes. McCullough hitting Ewan out of that sort of split stack horizontal that they were offering there. Sometimes, it can't be overstated how important that first point at a half is. And counter to how they started the first half, where Dyno had 2-3 huck turnovers in their first point, seems like they've really settled down. And I probably attribute this to a coaching adjustment where they're like, let's take unders, let's take swings. Those are the things that are working out. And you saw it by their set play there was actually geared towards sending some people deep and then actually hitting an under to start things off. So they're making the adaptations that they need on the fly, and it's paying off. They've had 2 clean O holds in a row now.
Really enjoy watching teams make those changes after getting through that big burst of excitement in the first few points and then settling into, okay, here's how we're going to win. We see Dyno really employing that in their offense right now. And Titane's done it too. It just seems, a lead established early on in the game has kind of held through until now. So some familiar faces for Titane out there. We've seen Beck Havionek doing a lot of the work in the backfield as he receives the pull. And he'll flip it to Berard, who has a give-go going on with him. But it's not there, so Beck Havionek looking for a reset. He'll break around to Erazo. And unfortunately, that will just bounce off the hands for Berard. And hearing some audibles from the Dyno sideline from the coaches on a look that they want to see. So Ma takes his time so his team can set up. Finds Wu underneath. Wu looking for options, has a big open reset. That bobbles, but is reeled in. But that pass is poached off. So Hyun's pass not hitting the mark, and Origine has a chance to hold.
So Louis Giguère there with the block, and then he gets the under right after.
Beck Havionek looking for options downfield, finds it. Didn't really bother to look reset. Durand gets back to Beck Havionek. Give go back to Durand. He's throwing some pump fakes, looking for options. Looks off Erazo. Finds Berard in the middle. And he's able to punch that to Durand. So now another hold. Our score 7-5. So out of half, both teams getting big holds. The crowd for Titane loving it.
And Titane just making the most of this open side there. Honestly, Clay, they were just hitting open side throw, open side throw, open side throw, and that the credit there goes to the cutting staff and the handlers for generating those upline looks, right? Dyno doing a good job with their marks, not letting anything come out back to the middle, and doing what they probably want to do, which is get them to stuff it down just 1/3 of the field. But at the end of the day, the team that has the legs and makes those cuts and successfully hits those throws, Titane showed that they're able to do it and they're able to work the open side, not taking any real risk and just jamming them up there. It's not always the prettiest, but 4, 5, 6 unders right up the open side, cashing in for a goal.
So we've talked about the conditions a little bit. If you are kind of tuning in just to the second half, it's been swirly in this stadium. The wind has typically been moving from left to right at kind of a diagonal, and it's shifting all the time, but definitely right now, Titane pulling from the side that's easier to score on. That pull will land in bounds. So Ma picks up, or Jang that is, pardon me. McCullough's huck, he didn't really like it, but Ewan's able to run that down and do a quick flip to O'Donnell. That's in. A short, open, ultimate point.
Yeah, and they ran the same set play that they ran at the beginning of the game where they have a side stack and they clear an option and send Rex Ewan from that vertical side stack. And when McCullough is hitting his shots, they look good. And again, it goes counter to what we said in the last point where they were hammering the unders. And it looks like they're just trying to keep Titane on their toes, keep them not sure what to expect, and allowing Rex Ewan, surely a top cutter in this division, kind of cook up there in the lanes. He's looked very good this second half especially.
Yeah, and he's done both. I mean, we've got strikes. He's done a lot of undercutting and happy to work with the handler core and, just fall into that position naturally. And we're seeing Dyno willing to still employ both strengths of their game, right? I would say at the beginning of the game, it was too much relying on the hucks, and then it started getting off, as you say. But now as they've brought out more tools of the tool belt, seem very in command of their offense right now.
Yeah, and this offensive unit has has been successful already today, and now they're really starting to fall into their space. You see Benjamin Jang and Griffin McCullough in the backfield. You see the cutting unit with Rex Ewan, Kai O'Donnell, and Kaido Squans kind of as that upfield threats, and it's a pretty deep and balanced offensive unit, and I expect them to do a lot of damage in this tournament.
Dyno's pull will land in bounds, kind of low, so Titane's able to get a few passes off until getting it to the center in Durand's hand, and we're seeing a zone look from Dyno. We haven't seen this yet. Durand complaining about the double team, gets them to move back, and then starts a give-go. A wide open, neglected Giguel. Just has it at the doorstep. Running out of time, looking like he might take a risky throw here. But no, instead, he's able to find Obela, excuse me. Obela doesn't like that look. Breaks around, and a big outstretching bid, except an immediate foul call, a push-off. Number 21 on Dyno, De Beer, arguing that bid by a number, unfortunately, I believe that's Mayo, that his bid was sullied by a push-off before making that run, but I'm sorry, that's not Mayo. I cannot see who made that catch right now. I'll get credit where credit is deserved in just a moment. I believe that was Drouin with the bid. Obela finds Giguel in about the same spot. Giguel taking over on that sideline, but once again, the play is waved off. It is argued there is a stall down call made by Sabanin against Obela.
Right now, Clay, what I'm seeing in the T10 backfield is there isn't really a good option for a dump or a bail, we want to say. And that right now, Romain Robellet is just sort of staring into stagnant and people trying to just generate something out of the stack. And, it would go a long way to just have an opportunity to move the disc into the backfield.
Yeah, scoring 2 or 3 passes rather than one, right? Obele goes to Giguel again. That one just a little too inside. And Eli Bryan is able to make a play and take that away. Bryan giving his team a chance to set up. Finds Wong. And Wong goes through to Brousset. Back to Wong. And Wong will call a timeout. Timeout, 70 seconds long. We saw teams earlier retreating to shade.
Yeah, and this Dyno offensive, like the D-line offense, has shown that they've been able to take care of the disc, right? With guys like Zach Wong and Kobe Ma kind of giving, going, running and controlling that offense with Christoria. It's when they're able to do it well, it looks clean, it looks sustainable, it looks like they could scale it up or down against really good teams or against the weaker teams. It just requires that extra level of patience. And when we get into the later halves of games, hot games, windy games, that's when that patience and that sort of mental strength and the mental fortitude to be able to make good decisions, that's when it becomes very difficult. So it's an extra chance here, I feel like, through a timeout just to stabilize everything and then make good choices coming in this timeout. And if they're able to do that, they should be able to work it up.
I feel like I shouldn't do this because she's not here, but I'm going to take one little shot at Danny Proby right now and say that I do like this timeout because, like you're saying, settling down just for a second here, everybody just get it back together. We didn't see anyone retreat to the shade or get water. That was a little team meeting about what are we going to do here to score this point. And then we see Dyno set up in an offense, like a vertical in the middle here, but obviously a plan in place. Players all not really asking each other, hey, what's going on? Everybody knows the plan here to get that focus.
The obvious counter is the D is also ready and planned, and both people in both camps have rightful arguments for the sort of pro timeout versus the anti timeout discussion there.
Oh, she's not here to defend herself.
I'm doing my best on her behalf.
So Wong with the disc. And set play, a strike off the front of the stack. They go for it to Brousset. That's hanging lots of coverage. And Obelad there to eat that up. Or Giguère, excuse me, there to eat that up. Obelad with the disc now. Sweet and Durand work it up the middle. Durand now with the disc. He finds Maillot. And Maillot will put that out to Giguère. Giguère had it. Clap, catch, drop. You hate to see it.
Again, just sort of pounding this open side. The sustainability of this offense is tough. It's 3, 4, 5 tough throws, tough catches in a row. And even though the last one looked fairly routine, it's still everything's got to be perfect for it to all line up.
Bryan picks up, brings it to the line. He's looking for a huck off the bat. It's not there. And Lexon under to Brousset, who lays out to get that disc that was just off its trajectory for him. Finds Wong in the middle. Wong pointing deep. It's not there. He'll go back to Brousset. Wong to Bryan. Bryan looking upfield. And he found De Beer, but it seems that number 16, Philippe Durand, might have something going on with his ankle or a cramp, so we're going to give him a minute.
Yeah, it looked like he just went uncomfortably over on his leg, trying to get that mark on. He's going to limp off to his sideline. Some coach assistance here, and both teams are going to get a sub in.
Beck Havendick will come in for him. And it looks like Wu comes on for his teammate. I believe that was Wong that went off. So De Beer with the disc. So pick called. Colin Wu all by himself coming out of some traffic. So pick, yeah, probably. That's back with the beer on stall 6. He looks immediately to Brian, who makes a big jab step to get that reset. Wilkie will find Wu. Bruce able to do a little scoop in the middle. He'll look reset back to Wu. Wu looking open side right now. Tabir finds Bruce. Bruce's out of bounds. Kevin, we've said that line deceptive.
It really is, and I think it's just because it's so close to the tents and in sort of near the sideline, the like bleachers and whatnot. But it is deceiving, and we've seen people go out of bounds on that far side a lot today.
But Dyno gets it right back as Beck Havernick's huck is gobbled up by 2 Dyno defenders. And Wu will put that up to De Beer. De Beer elevates, but just it goes off his fingertips.
And Louis Beck Havernick did a good job. He went up at speed. I think if he doesn't go up there, even though he's not going to get the block, if he doesn't go up there, that's a completion.
I agree. That pressure really important sometimes, even if you can't touch it. That pass picked up in the wind. Mayo is unable to field it as it just extends past him, or just out of his fingertips at the last second. Brian picking up for Dyno. Looking upfield, resets to the middle to Wu. Wu finds Wong. They jump into a give-go. Wu goes up the line. It's not there, but Brian's wide open. Brian takes off in a give-go. Wu back to Brian. Oh, and that pass gets caught in the wind, and now Beck Havernick and Mayo just having a little dish session back and forth to make up 20 yards. Duhamp finds Obela in the middle. And Obela's pass, some sort of miscommunication for Titane there, as Wu just says thank you very much and fields that pass.
You can see the frustration starting to boil over for both teams here, as both teams are making uncharacteristic drops and miscues.
What'd you just say?
Another one there at the front of the goal line. This is a long point. Hands are on knees. This is very, very, after seeing several really clean points in a row, to see this several back and forth turn. And I'm not even going to blame the win. This is fatigue and poor decision making.
And Brian on Dyno will call a timeout. The second timeout of this point called by Dyno. So they have no more timeouts this half because you get 2 per half here at the Canadian Ultimate Championships.
And Clay, it sounds like we're 13 minutes away from cap right now. Or 17 minutes away from cap, I suppose. And, at that juncture, then it's when the horn goes, that's the last point of the game, unless the next one's universe.
That's right. And with a 3-point lead, you're feeling pretty good. If you're a Dyno fan, you try to keep yourself feeling good if you're Dyno or a Dyno coach, right? You don't want to get that complacency. Scoring 2 points and getting it within 1 before the horn goes is enough to keep the game going throughout the cap. So, and I mean, Titane here is scoring on the side that, like we said, is trying to be easier. So they are at advantage with their field side, but it is Dyno who has possession right now.
And to be perfectly honest, the Titane offense has had plenty of chances to pop one in here. They've had really good looks, and they just haven't been able to capitalize. And right now, that's killing them.
So Brian with the disc. Mayo will set up the mark on him.
Dyno set up in a big spread offense with no one really around the disc, trying to isolate a lot of space out in the main area.
And nothing there for Wu, and it's blocked by Mayo. A huge block at this juncture. We were just talking about the lead and the timing. This, I'd say, is a must-do for Titane right now. So Beck Habernick looking to punch it in. And he does to Mayo. Mayo with the double happiness. Hand block and the juke cut to get the goal.
Ludovic Mayo with the block and the goal. It's tough when it's tough to play defense when they gave him about 9 stalls to get open there. It's kind of a do or die situation for Titane. They gave him the entire stall count, and then late in the count, a quick break came off, and it's just not much you can do when you're the Dyno D there.
No, as a player, when you're playing defense, once you've been defending someone for 5-6 seconds, you're very used to having the burst energy for that, right? Because it's really common that, well, most offenses that most teams run, if I can shut down my check for that long, at that point, they've probably been looked off as an option. And the person with the disc is going to swing it or dump it or go to someone else. But, you know, you can have that lapse and just say, oh, I can stop playing Dyno and get scored on. Or you're like, oh, man, playing defense for 10 seconds is exhausting. I never have to do this.
Especially in conditions like we have here today, Clay, and I think they identified that. The risk there is if it's not there, it's a turnover, right? It's, you know, if you look away at stall 2 or 3, you have some more options to go to and likely keep the disc alive. But that was a goal or bust situation for Titane, and they cashed in.
So Beck Habernick with the pull.
Dyno leads 8-6 in this Pool B matchup.
McCullough looking for options. Has lots of players open deep, but Ewan comes under for the small ball. O'Donnell. Oh, Jukes' his guy. He's got a free cut now. So Ewan takes the shot, but the throw is just poorly executed. Yeah, I mean, that was a freebie. O'Donnell was going to be uncovered deep thanks to a great cut he made, but
it's always difficult to throw these same third hucks, especially on this downwind sideline. You have to have so much pace on them to cut through the wind. And as Rex even pivoted back, it just didn't feel like he was set enough to be able to throw that with the pace and the edge required.
So Beck Habernick with the disc, and Laverin making a cut, and very unhappy with Ryan Chen calling a foul, perhaps wrap around with the arms.
Yeah, there was definitely some contact on his on Lancio's undercut there, and no contest, and we're right back into it, and Ryan Chen gets the block right back.
And he puts it up for O'Donnell. O'Donnell's up the doorstep, and the quick flip to, I believe that's Jang. Excuse me. Yeah, that's Benjamin Jang with the goal. And a score for 9-6 now means we're going to get a water break. And just for you technical fans out there, the game clock does not stop during the water break. And water breaks are about the same length as a timeout. So, you know, with 3-point lead cap coming up and you're Dyno, you're like, nice. You know, we've used our 2 timeouts already in that single point. This water break timeout is like giving in more ways than one. So,
yeah, the predetermined heat breaks, you know, although not actually geared towards giving anyone an advantage as part of the player safety and the coaches making sure everyone gets water and shade and has a chance to recharge a little bit in these super hot days. Just like you said, as we get near the end of the game and the time cap is closing in, this does advantage Dyno here. You know, at the end of the day, they have the advantage, right? They have the 3-point lead as they lead 9-7. But there's nothing you can really do about that, right? That's the rules they've established. After it gets into the mid-30s, they're able to make that rule, and it's for the player safety.
So I'm just looking at my clock here, and 3:49. So Cap should be, if we started on time with the rest of the tournament, as it were, Cap will be coming on at 3:55 in 5.5, 6 minutes.
Dyno looks like they are in position to finish the day and their pool 3-0 heading into the crossover section, whereas Titane, a tough day for Titane. Long travel in from Quebec, and it's tough to say what happened in the rest of their games, but in this game, just not looking quite as sharp as Dyno, right? Obviously, Dyno, the number 2 seed overall, is going to be a tough foe no matter what, but this Titane team just hasn't had their best stuff today, I think it's fair to say.
That pull will land in bounds. And Titane trying to get some stuff going quickly. Breard working with Obela, but it's not there. Sui trying to make something happen. He takes off. Breard. And Benoit's going to send that. It hangs a little bit and gives Cochran a chance. Man, I'm glad he's going to UVic. Sorry, I'm just going to say it. I'll put it out there. He's been wonderful to watch this game getting up in the air.
UVic fans have a lot to be excited about, no doubt. And Cochran, he's kind of playing a good sandwich of a game. He played very well at the start, got some blocks and goals. Now he's having a good finish as well. Great track down there as that disc hung up.
So Ma will run that up. Cochran, the initiating cutter, he'll come under as he's protected from going deep by Jérôme.
Good breakside offense here from Dyno as they're just hitting break after break.
Wong will find Wu. That was close, but stays on target. Storia, he'll go to Wu.
And Clay, this is when the Dyno offense has looked its best, when they're just resetting the disc and keeping it alive.
Yeah. Cochran. He'll put that up. Wynn catches that. There's going to be a second effort. But no, too far, and that edge allows Benoit to cash in that defensive play. He'll swing immediately to Breard. To Obelat. Back to Breard. Sui finds Benoit. Flips that to Breard. Oh, and a massive layout D by Ma. Ma read that so well, saw that throw coming. Eyes lit up. Ma finds Wong, bobbled out of his hands, but he's able to reel that in with a big layout. Wu to Wong. He'll go for Ma. Double coverage. Coach is yelling, you need a reset. Wu's right there to just leisurely pick that up behind. Wong's left alone. Players starting to look tired.
And great offense there by Dyno as they just recycled the disc in the middle of the field and always gave themselves an outlet. Coach was yelling, we need a reset. And they certainly had the option there at the end, right? Just that much more legs, a little more hungry than the T10T, always able to reset the disc up the middle. And then finally a absolute walk-in goal there for the Dyno defense.
Joshua Falk with the goal. That brings us to 10-6, a 4-point lead. By my clock, it says cap in 2 minutes. And when we hear the horn, we'll let you know.
With the 10-6 lead, the outcome's all but determined at this point, Clay. I have a tough time seeing Titane marching down a handful of goals in 1 minute. I think, looking at this game as a whole, obviously Dyno started well. Titane played an excellent mid-chunk of this game, but didn't have the gas to finish it off. And, Dyno has just looked good. They've had their ups and downs, no doubt, but when they've needed to play their best, aka the start of the game, the start of the second half, and the end of the game, those are the three critical junctures in a game, and Dyno's had the edge in all three of those junctures, and that's enough to get a 2-3, and in this case, it's a 5-point lead.
You're right, that mid-chunk, that is such a great way to put it, Kev. And, I was reflecting on something earlier, too, that you said, I think part of the hardest thing for the headspace for Titane this game is you're coming in and you're into your 1-2 matchup in pool play. After you've already lost 2 games, I mean, you're coming in knowing now we have to play our hardest match and we don't have a dub. So getting prepared for that mentally to pull out, a win and perform for that game must be a pretty daunting aspect mentally.
Yeah, and they've looked gritty at times, and they've played good offense at times. It makes me feel like they're going to drop down and play the winners out of the lower brackets, and I have a feeling this Titane team's not done yet.
The horn just went, so this is the last point of the game. It's finish the point, finish the game. It doesn't matter who scores. Back Havaniuk finds an open man, and that is Gigal who would finish it off for us. But that is game. The score 10-7 for Dyno. Titane will go 0-3 on their first day. But like you said, Kev, I mean, we don't think they're finished watching them play. They probably still have a lot in them. Dyno looking strong and showing us that they were ready to adapt.
Absolutely. And stay tuned for more Canadian Ultimate Juniors over the course of today, tomorrow, Wednesday. We've got so much good action coming from the Newton Athletic Park here in Surrey. And it sounds like on the other pool, it's been absolute mayhem. Everybody beating everyone. There's almost assuredly going to be a two-way tie or a three-way tie for that first or last position there. So tons of action coming out of the Junior Open division and great games coming out of the Junior Women's as well. So stay tuned.
Our next game today will be Toro from Ontario and Origine from Quebec in our women's division. Tune in later.